How rare is your body? If you naturally have blonde hair, consider yourself lucky because only 2% of people have it. 83.7% of people can roll their tongue like this, but only 14.7% of people can make a clover like this. Only 4% of people have an outie belly button. 10% of people have Morton's toe, where your big toe is smaller than the toe next to it. Only 1% of people have a double row of eyelashes. Next, only 2% of people have naturally red hair, so if this is you, consider yourself lucky. 14% of people do not have this muscle called a palmaris longus, and only 20% of people are double jointed. This dog saved her owner's life, and you won't believe how she did it. It all began just 1 week ago when Haley Moore was on a walk with her dog Clover on a nice winter day, when suddenly she had a seizure and collapsed on the side of the road. Clover immediately sprang into action, licking her and trying to wake her up. But after a car sped by, Clover got a remarkable idea. Before I continue, there's an app right now where you can FaceTime famous TikTokers. Press here on my bio and try to find us on there. Clover ran in front of a moving car to try and get their attention, and sure enough, they stopped. The driver saw what was happening and jumped out of his car to try and help Haley. Since then, she's made a full recovery and Clover was honored as a hero.
This cop thought they were alone in an elevator but doesn't know a hidden camera is watching his every move. Deputy Tony was one of the longest serving police officers in Colorado. Everyone knew him as a hero and he had saved countless lives over the course of his career. But there was a side to Tony that no one had ever seen. On the day of Tony's retirement, his coworkers set up a hidden camera in the elevator of the police station. The idea was for them to surprise him with gifts and record it all, but they had no idea what he was going to do. But as he was going up the elevator, unknowingly being recorded, a black police officer entered the room. But you won't believe what he did to her. Before I tell you, I found an app that shows you your celebrity lookalike, and I guess mine's Jojo Siwa. Press right here in my bio if you want to see who yours is. The cop was extremely confused at first, but then realized he was actually dancing and she caught a vibe. Next thing you know, everyone was dancing, but they had no idea they were being recorded.
I just found an impossible color and I want to see if you can see it. Okay, so I need you to stare at the white dot between these two squares and just blink normally. Focus all your attention on the white dot and then I'm gonna count back from 5 to 1 and you're gonna see an impossible color. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, check out these cool colors and then comment if you can see them. I'm gonna make your childhood even better. Margot from Despicable Me is actually Riley's mom from Inside Out. She's all grown up now, raising a child. But she's going through depression, which is why sadness is in control of her emotions. And Riley's dad is mean to her because he has anger controlling his emotions. He's an abusive husband and his anger causes her depression. Riley sees this and is traumatized by it, which is why she's so emotional.
Here's what would happen if Prince Philip died right now. The first thing that will happen is called Operation Fourth Bridge. The first step of the operation is to call BBC, who will break the news. If he dies overnight, the official announcement will come the next morning at 8 a.m. The Queen will then enter a royal mourning period of 8 days. During this period, new laws will not be given royal assent. Flags across the UK will be at half-mast, and the Prime Minister will decide which sporting events should be suspended. Now, usually when a royal dies, their body lays at Westminster Hall where the public can pay their respects. But Prince Philip will be given a more private funeral. His body will lie at St. James Palace and the public will not be allowed to view it. His actual funeral will be a small military-style service, with only a few friends and family members allowed to attend. Here are the animals you do not want to have a breath-holding contest with, and fair warning, you might unfollow me by the end of this video. Now, the average person can hold their breath for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, but hippos, on the other hand, can go for 5 minutes. That's nothing compared to dolphins though. They can hold their breath about 8 to 10 minutes. They don't hold it like me or you. They actually have to remind themselves to go up for air. Pretty much all sea lions and penguins can dive up to 20 minutes, but that's nothing compared to this next animal. Sloths can actually hold their breath up to 40 minutes, but I don't even know how this makes sense. They're somehow 3 times faster in water than they are on land. Sperm whales can hold their breath for up to 2 hours and will often take naps at the bottom of the ocean before coming up for air. Sea turtles can hold their breath for about 4 to 7 hours. They actually can absorb oxygen through their skin so they can last longer. But the Fulvolietta spider can hold its breath up to 40 hours by going into a state of hibernation. So if you ever flush one of these down the toilet, just know it's coming right back up to bite ya.
I'm gonna make your childhood even better. The twin brothers from the movie Tangled are actually two of Hans' brothers from the movie Frozen. But they sent Hans to Arendelle to trick Anna into pretending that he was in love with her so that they could take the crown from Rapunzel's cousins, which explains why they all look so similar.
This is the worst torture method you will ever see. It's called tickle torture, but don't let the name fool you. Now, this technique originated in China back in 200 BC, but the way the Romans did it is so much worse. First, your feet will be strapped down and covered in honey, then thirsty goats will come and lick them. Now, at first, the rough tongue of the goat would tickle you, sending you into a fit of laughter. The only problem is they cover your feet over and over again until the goats start licking into your flesh. This fully exposes the millions of ultra-sensitive nerve endings on the bottom of your feet. Eventually, your brain can't handle it and you'll die in a state of shock.
This boy killed his entire family and then posted the pictures online. Part 2. One day before graduation, Zachary decided he was gonna murder his entire family. First, he ended his mom and grandmother in their sleep. Then, he went online and told his friends about it and said his sister and father were next. Hours later, after ending his sister and father, he went back online to brag about it and even posted pictures. Then, one brave viewer used Zachary's profile and photos to track his location and then called the police. Before I continue, I found a secret way to go live with under 1,000 followers using an app called Bigo. Just press right here if you want to go live too. The police immediately rushed over to Zachary's house and broke down the door to find a horrific scene. Zachary was immediately arrested and later sentenced to life in prison.
This girl woke up to find her dog licking her, but then realized what it was actually doing. Taylor was in grade 12 and was the brightest girl. But when she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, everything changed. She was constantly checking her blood sugar and barely had enough energy to go to school. Because of this, she began failing all her classes and was extremely sad. That is until one day when she was walking home and a golden retriever came running up to her. It was the friendliest dog, but clearly hadn't eaten in weeks. So Taylor brought it home, fed it, and washed it, and was planning on returning it to the shelter the next morning. But that night, as she was sleeping with the dog in the house, she felt a tickle. Taylor immediately flung the covers off, but you won't believe what the dog was doing. Before I tell you, I found a way you can go live under 1,000 followers using an app called Bigo. Press right here on my profile if you want to go live too. The dog was nibbling at her feet, which had turned purple. She screamed for help and her mom rushed her to the hospital. As it turns out, Taylor's blood sugar was dangerously low and the dog was trying to warn her, saving her life.
Here's 3 times when drinking water is actually bad for you. Number 1, when your pee is clear. This could mean that your body is getting low on sodium, which could cause vomiting, seizures, or even death. Number 2, drinking water before bed. This could make your body want to pee at night, which could ruin your quality of sleep. Number 3, when you're eating spicy foods. Believe it or not, but drinking water can actually make spicy foods more spicy. Here are 5 body hacks that you need to try. Number 1, if you ever get a stuffy nose, just hold your breath until you finally have to breathe again. This will give you adrenaline, which will clear up your sinuses. Number 2, if you really have to go to the bathroom but there's no place to go, just scratch the back of your calf as hard as you can. This will actually stall your brain and you'll forget you ever had to go. Number 3, if you're about to cry in public but you really don't want to, just look up, pinch your nose, and hold your breath. This will actually block the water from filling up your tear ducts. Number 4, if you ever have trouble falling asleep, just blink your eyes as fast as you can for 1 minute. This will actually tire out your eyes and make it easier for you to fall asleep. Number 5, if you ever want to activate night vision, go on your phone in a dark room and cover your eye for 30 seconds. Then look around and enjoy being Superman.
Here's how you can control someone's brain, part 1. So let's say that you're talking to someone. Now if you say, "Come walk with me" in a busy tone and actually start walking away, they will start walking with you and continue the conversation. Now you can lead them pretty much anywhere you want. Immediately after your friend looks at the time, ask them if they know what time it is. Chances are they'll have to look at the time again. Look distractedly at someone's nose or any part of their face. Now scratch the exact same part of your face. They'll get confused and think they have something on them and start scratching that same part as well.
This man went out of his way on his birthday to save a dog. 19-year-old Samantha was walking her dogs when suddenly she got hit by a car. When Samantha was hit, Harper got away and somehow ended up in the New York East River. And that's when Gabriel was celebrating his 38th birthday by the river and saw the dog drowning. So he put on a life jacket and immediately sprang into action while everyone was watching in tears. But when he approached the dog, it bit him in the face. But before I tell you what happened, Found an app that shows you who your celebrity lookalike is, and I guess mine's Jojo Siwa. The link's in my bio if you want to see who yours is. Even after getting bit by the dog, he still brought her to shore and saved her life. Gabriel received a small bite on his face and a chipped tooth, but he was still honored as a hero.
Everyone was laughing at this guy's house until they saw what was inside. Samuel Parkinson was a US Army pilot who served in the military for almost 30 years. When he retired in the 90s, he bought this tiny little house in San Francisco, California. The only problem was the rest of the neighborhood was stupid rich, to the point where everyone pretty much lived in a mansion on his street. For decades, his neighbors refused to even speak to Stanley, but laughed at him when they walked by. One day, he was enjoying an iced tea on his front porch when a bunch of rich teens pulled up and started making fun of him. At first, Stanley was a little pissed, but then decided to invite them in because little did the kids know he was hiding the biggest secret in the entire neighborhood. The kids followed him inside, where he guided them to the back of the library. But when they took one look inside, they could not believe their eyes. Before I tell you, I found a way you can expose your friends by changing their text messages. The link's in my bio, but don't use it for bad. There was a full-sized flight simulator in the basement. Stanley had spent over $2 million building it. These are the strangest graves in the entire world. This grieving mother added a sandbox to her little boy's grave who had passed away unexpectedly. And now his older brother plays in it every single day. This is the gravesite of a boy who died of an incurable illness in 1865. A few hours before he died, he told his dad he was afraid of death because he knew they'd be burying him underground with no lights. So his parents honored his wish and put a window in his tomb. After her daughter died of yellow fever in 1892, a grieving mother wanted to make sure that her little girl was never alone. You see, her daughter was absolutely terrified of storms. So she constructed a staircase that goes down directly into her tomb. Every single time there was a thunderstorm, that mother would go to the graveyard and sit with her daughter for hours, comforting her in her grave.
I'm gonna make your childhood even better. The evil queen from Snow White is actually Mother Gothel from Tangled. So at the end of Snow White, the evil queen falls off the cliff, but we never actually see her die. What happens is she finds the healing flower from Tangled, which makes her young and beautiful again. Because both of them are obsessed with being young and beautiful. They also have the exact same dagger. Here's the evil queen with hers, and here's Mother Gothel with hers. They also look very similar in their older states. So what about the famous red apple? Well, when Flint saves Rapunzel for the second time, he is stabbed by Mother Gothel. Now look at the print that was made on the wall. It's a red apple. I'm sorry guys. Here's what things actually look like under the microscope. This is what a human eye looks like close up. It's actually pretty cool. This is a sea cucumber. And this is what their skin looks like under a microscope. It kinda looks like SpongeBob's wallpaper. Here's what alcohol looks like close up. It's actually kinda trippy. These are maggots, and everyone knows how gross they are. But under a microscope, they look even creepier. I didn't even know they had teeth. This is sand. And this is sand under a microscope. You can see each individual grain, and it's honestly quite satisfying. Here's what Velcro looks like close up. You can see the little hooks and the fibers and how it actually works together. And this is a time lapse of a tadpole larva under a microscope. You should never get plastic surgery, and this is why. 29-year-old Rachel Nabier was a beautiful young woman who didn't want to get plastic surgery. But in 2019, she went to a Botox party, and after having a couple drinks, she decided to get a lip injection. But this is when things went horribly wrong. Immediately after the injection, she felt intense pain in her lips and she had to call 911. She was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, but you won't believe what happened to her. Before I continue, I found a way to expose your friends by changing their text messages. The link's in my bio, but keep it a secret. During the injection, they actually hit an artery and her lips swelled up like this. Since then, she has made a full recovery, but she is never doing plastic surgery ever again.
This teacher refused to lend a student a pen during an exam, so afterwards, that student destroyed his career. Part 2. When Josh got home, he was furious. All he could think about was the pain he was going to inflict on this teacher. First, he went through the teacher's social media to find out if there was anything he could expose him with. But even after spending days going through thousands of posts and comments, Josh came out empty-handed. But he wasn't ready to give up, so he searched up the teacher's Gmail address and his phone number on Google. Over the next week, Josh went through every single single website that popped up before finally finding something. Before I tell you, I found a way you can go live under 1,000 followers using an app called Bigo. The link's in my bio if you want to go live too. Turns out the teacher had been looking for prostitutes, and since the teacher was a married man, Josh knew he could use this to destroy him. So he contacted every single local news station to try and get the word out. The next day, a huge news company aired the story, and it was all anyone could talk about. Turns out he was banned from teaching at any school in the city, and his wife and kids left him.
Here's what would happen if Joe Biden died right now. First, Vice President Kamala Harris will be sworn into office, becoming the first female president of the United States. Next, the news of Joe Biden's death would become public, and within minutes, it would be trending all around the world. After that, there would be riots happening in America because the country is so divided. Next, there would be 1 day of mourning in the US, and all the flags in the US will be dropped to half for 30 days. Then, his funeral will take place 1 week after his death, and lastly, Joe Biden will be buried at the Arlington National Cemetery. I'm gonna make your childhood even better. Riley from the movie Inside Out is actually confused about her gender, which is why she has both girls and boys controlling her emotions, while her mom only has girls controlling her emotions, and her dad only has boys controlling his emotions. Her dad is furious about this, which is why anger is always in control, because Riley is not what he envisioned his little girl growing up to be. Riley's mom is sad about this, which is why sadness is always in control. Their family's in chaos, but they still love Riley for who she is.
This YouTube channel correctly predicts celebrity deaths. On June 15th, 2017, a channel called 2020 Vision was opened up on YouTube. Its content consists of 50 videos, all titled with a celebrity who passed away in 2020. In each video, it predicts the exact date that the celebrity will pass away. For example, it predicted Kobe's death to be on January 26th, which is the exact day he died on last year. Keep in mind, every single video was uploaded 3 years ago. But you won't believe what they said about Charlie. Hit the plus for part 2.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your day, part 1. The average person will spend 5 months of their life waiting for red lights to turn green. The FDA allows 1 rodent hair per 100 grams of peanut butter, so if you eat peanut butter, you've definitely ingested some rat hairs. If you confess that you've murdered someone to a priest, your secret is protected by Catholic law, meaning that you could admit to killing someone and then get away with it. The average person walks past 16 murderers in their lifetime. The reason why you smell a fart is because the poo particles are literally inside your nose. Ducks sometimes become cannibals due to boredom, meaning that they kill and eat each other. And this is what a child's skull looks like before they lose their baby teeth. Here's the dark truth behind SpongeBob SquarePants. So we all love SpongeBob and he seems like a nice guy, but not is all what it seems. In the episode Nasty Patty, SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs poison a Krabby Patty and then serve it to the health inspector. And after the health inspector ate it, he died from the poison. Then SpongeBob beats him with a shovel to make sure he's dead. Out of fear of getting in trouble, they drag him up a hill and attempt to bury him to cover their tracks. Which means SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs are actually murderers.